coming to you, and I just wanted to give a little tour today of the site that we'll be using in Moodle Rooms this this summer for the decision case analysis course, and some of the resources that are in it. Hopefully, by the time I finish with this tour and this tutorial and walk through the syllabus, you'll have a good grasp on what this course is about and what's expected of you, and a sense for how to get things completed from week to week. So when you first log on, let's see, you're going to have a little different view from what I've got here. Let me turn the editing function off. Probably when you open it up, it's going to look maybe something like this. It could be that there's an expanded section there. And basically what you're going to find, I try to keep this as simple as I can, and I think it's a very straightforward course. Now, we are signed up for technically for 6 weeks in this course, but I designed this with 5 weeks in mind, and then that last week we'll have a little bit of flexibility, and we'll just kind of see the progress we make throughout our time together. But you'll see that we're basically designed around a 5-week plan, and so what you'll notice is basically here in the first field we have just class resources. If you click on the syllabus, then you should be able to download the syllabus for the course. Let me set that aside for just a moment, and then we'll take a look through that. But and then one other thing I'll just show you really quickly about the Moodle Room site is that each one of these sections here is going to be expandable, and it's going to have information within that section. And all you have to do is click on the folder to activate it, and then you'll get a drop down of the resources that are in each of these sections. And I don't know, it's up to you if you want to go in and keep these all kind of opened up or whatever. But for now, we'll sort of close them up, and you can see what we're doing, kind of one piece at a time. Let's take a look at the syllabus together, and then we'll do a little bit of back and forth between the syllabus and the resources that are on Moodle Rooms. Just got a straightforward syllabus pretty much. You all know you're taking social work 593. This is an MSW program elective called Decision Case Analysis, Real-Time Decision Making for Social Work Practice. A little history on this. I got my PhD at the University of South Carolina, and while I was there, I got to teach for a few years, or a couple of years, and during that time there was a group of professors there, and one in particular was Terry Wolford. He's one of the authors of the book that we're using for this term. And they were just getting this going. This is back around 2000, and they had basically borrowed from the field of law education, so law schools. A very common teaching approach for them is to just basically take cases and what they call open-ended cases. We're calling these decision cases, but essentially what distinguishes an open case or a decision case from any other kind of case is that they are open-ended, and that they basically are cases designed to sort of walk us up to a point of decision that in our case and in our field, that the social worker has to make. And so it's sort of like walking into the woods and then just being kind of left there to decide, where do we go from here? And so in a way, you get to every week sort of author the rest of the story and come up with your own thoughts and recommendations on what needs to happen. But the thing I really enjoyed about this approach to teaching and approach to learning was that it did not start with the content that we wanted to learn. It started with a case. It started with, these are very, you'll see, they're diverse cases. They're very interesting cases about social workers and about people and clients, and working in situations that are very interesting, sometimes very difficult, challenging, somewhat dramatic, and so there's a hook to each case where I think you and I are going to identify with the protagonist, hopefully, usually the social worker, and once we identify with them, then the decision case approach does is basically requires us to pick up a framework then for using as a lens or as a way to kind of filter and think about that case and what the problems really are. Think about what the implications really are. Think about any of the theories or intervention approaches that we have at our disposal that could be applicable to that case, to that situation, and then to apply basically just some critical thinking in terms of thinking through not just what you think you would do, but like what do you think could be done, and what are some alternatives, what are some other strategies maybe that you wouldn't consider doing but that you could think through nonetheless. We call that critical thinking when we think about doing something that we would normally do, and we think that through from a different perspective. And then ultimately, after walking through the discipline of that kind of a framework or outline, at that point, then we can make a recommendation, and so my hope is that over the course of the next 5 weeks, that you all will just get so good and comfortable with this outline that we will be using that it just becomes a working part of your mind, and so this is really kind of the point of this type of learning. Real quick here, just there's some statements in here that I always need to keep in my syllabi about academic standards and plagiarism. There will be a lot less opportunity for plagiarism here because we're all going to be talking about these different cases, and so there's not so much room. We will be citing sources and using sources and everything, but anyway, keep in mind principles, rules, university rules about cheating and plagiarizing. Be very careful, especially with quoting materials and using any ideas that come from a source other than yourself. I won't have the usual statement I do about time management and assignments. Basically, our time together is so short that there's not going to be really room for extensions. If something unavoidable does happen and delays you, just notify me as soon as possible, and we'll do what we can to problem solve. But hopefully we don't have to hold up the works in our short time. All right, well, the assignments and grading for this course, you're basically, the big assignment from week to week is going to be performing an analysis for the case for that week, okay? Now, I have an outline, and we're going to walk through that outline here in just a moment. But I just want to point out here, every week you'll do an analysis, you'll use this outline. And I've got a much more detailed outline I'll share with you in a moment, but this is the basic outline for that. So all of those, each week that the analysis will be due by 5 o'clock on Thursdays. And so what that's going to do is give me enough time to get your analyses and to grade them and be able to get them back to you by the beginning of the following week. But also, you're going to be doing some consultations with each other. We're going to be posting these analyses. You're going to turn them into me in a Dropbox, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. You're going to turn those into me in a Dropbox, but you're also going to copy and paste your analysis into a discussion forum for your classmates to go over, and so that'll be the other part of your grade, will be to provide those consultations. But before I show you that part of the assignment, let me just come over here. You'll see that on the Moodle Room site, every week when you have a case, you'll look here, you'll say week 1, Fran's questions, you'll grab your book, and you'll know that, okay, that's case number 4. If we go into the table of contents here, we'll see that we have all the cases listed here. Fran's questions, that's page 53. So all we're going to do is come over here to page 53. Most of these cases are somewhere in the neighborhood of I don't know, 4 or 5 to maybe 8 or 9 pages. Usually won't be much more than that. I think on average you can expect to spend about 15 or 20 minutes to read through the case the first time, but as you read through the case, you're going to want to take a lot of notes. You're going to want to, I don't know if you're somebody who likes to write in your books or highlight or make notes, but if you do that, then you should be going through and just really marking all of this up really good. So you'll read the case, and then you'll come into the Moodle Room site. Probably what you want to do is go ahead and when you first get onto our site, you'll want to download this Decision Case Analysis Outline. And I'll just tell you right now, the Decision Case Analysis Outline, this is gold. This is absolutely at the center of everything that we're doing. The outline itself and each case, those are the primary tools that we'll be using for this course. And so if you click on Decision Case Analysis, it's a PDF file, and I've created basically like a newsletter formatted outline. But what this basically does is it's going to simultaneously sort of describe what we're doing. You'll kind of come down here and you'll see that how to use the Decision Case Analysis Outline. You're going to read the case. You're going to examine the case through this outline. When you've done this enough times, it's going to become a working part of your mind. And if you'll just come down through the outline itself, you're going to see here's where the outline basically begins with the problem statement. Now, as far as formatting goes on these, I'm not going to be super picky about. I mean, I want to see good writing. APA style is obviously, a safe way to go. Some of you will want to put this in the form of just like a text, like a normal paper, and then use these different parts of the outline as like headings or whatever. That's fine. Others of you may even want to stick with more of an outline format like this, and I'm not opposed to that either. Just keep it within APA format. Make sure you use a title page. Make sure that you are citing your sources, and so basically what you're going to do is with every case, you sit down after you read the case, after you take your notes and highlight and do all those things. The first thing is you develop a problem statement that captures the complexities of the case, and you specify and quantify all of the issues in the case. And this should be about a paragraph long. Okay, so a problem statement it's not just one sentence. It's usually going to be, there's usually 3 or 4 or 5 different issues and different things going on in the case. And so make sure that your problem statement is a robust statement that captures the complexity and the different layers of the issues that we see in the case. Okay, this second section, I'll just tell you right now, this is the heavy lifting. The theory section for a decision case analysis is always where the heavy lifting happens. And so what I've got here is basically a list of the theories that I think will be most useful for our case analyses. Now, feel free to branch out beyond the theories that I'm recommending here, but if all you did was stick with the theories that I have here, I would be satisfied with that. And again, I think this is a pretty good collection and should get you through the vast majority of your analysis. Okay, so basically what you'll see is strengths and feministic, and I've asked you to briefly address each of these. With the assessment theories, I'm asking you to use at least one of these, either the biopsychosocial or the multi-axial assessment, or even Maslow's hierarchy of needs. A brief statement about how any one of those assessment theories helps us understand what's happening in the case. But then we move on to the micro. You got micro, meso, and macro theories. Okay, now I'll tell you at this point that most of these cases have clinical practice issues related, but some have, to an extent, more meso or macro issues too. So, so these theories that I give, that I'm suggesting here, like here with micro theories, I'm saying Try to use at least 2 micro theories for each case. Try to use at least 2 meso theories. Try to use at least 2 macro theories. You know, each case is going to require something a little different, and so some of the cases will, you know, when I say use at least 2 micro theories, you're going to think, well, I could apply all of them to this case, and if you want to do that, that's okay. I'm going to caution you against allowing these to become too terribly lengthy. For one thing, we want these to be succinct because a good analysis should always be succinct. So I don't want these to be terribly long papers. I want you to really discipline yourself in these analyses to be as brief and succinct and to the point as you possibly can. And what you'll see also is that with each theory that I'm giving, like developmental, systems, motivational interviewing, and stages of change, what I try to do is give you a little heads up about that particular theory, you know. So when it comes to motivational interviewing and stages of change, ask yourself, in this case, is motivation a factor? If so, how does motivation affect the situation? Can you identify stages of change among the characters? Okay, so those of you who feel well versed and comfortable with theories like stages of change, trans-theoretical, cognitive, rational emotive, behaviorism, psychoanalytic, feel free to just simply use my outline here, and you can reference me in my outline in your analysis. But if you are thinking, you know, I sure don't know much about motivational interviewing, or I sure don't know much about psychodynamic, or I sure don't know much about social constructionism, let me point out a resource here. What I've done is, on our Moodle Room site, if you'll scroll down, you'll see under Readings and Resources, every theory that I've recommended on our outline is going to be represented in some shape or form in the list of resources I have here. So I don't want you going off on some wild goose chase looking for information about functionalism or conflict theory or anything like that. I will point out that you know, most of us most people who go into social work have more of a micro or meso orientation, micro in particular. And by micro, I mean we think about clinical practice. And so we know cognitive theory and cognitive therapy well. We know motivational, we know developmental, behaviorism. Fewer of us are familiar with things like social constructionism, rational social exchange, macro, conflict theory, functionalism, those kinds of things. Just wanted to point out that this, on our Moodle Room site, this Johnson and Rhodes article in particular, actually it's a chapter from their book, and I'll just, as long as I'm on the subject, I can go ahead and give them a little kudos here. Johnson and Rhodes, the book is Human Behavior and the Larger Social Environment. So this has to do with larger systems. It's more that macro level theory. And Johnson and Rhodes write very clearly about these theoretical approaches. And this chapter that I've provided here is has just a nice, succinct, very nice, succinct descriptions of constructionism, conflict theory, rational social exchange, and maybe a couple of the others. So, but that said, you're going to see, you know, cognitive and behavioral approaches. By the way, this one that I wrote, Cecil, here, this is an article that I wrote a few years back that basically talks about the blending practices for cognitive and behavioral approaches. But this article includes a very good, well, I say it's good because I wrote it, but you'll be the judge. But it's got a good historical account of cognitive and behavioral approaches, as well as basic descriptions of each of those theoretical backgrounds, as well as the interventions themselves. And so hopefully that'll be useful to you. There's a little more information here from Frogat on rational emotive, which is the same thing as cognitive behavioral, but that's Ellis's work. Erickson's developmental stages. Here's something on motivational interviewing and stages of change. Well, a couple of things on that. We've got behaviorism by Skinner. I've got my motivational interviewing PowerPoint that I use for my lecture. Turner and Jacobs problem-solving systems theory. That's going to be your more micro-level systems theory. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So as you're using this outline to do your to do your decision case analysis from week to week. If you do need to have some deeper understanding that's not reflected in some of the questions that I have for each theory, then just know that you can go to that site and take a look at those articles, and hopefully that'll give you the depth that you need. If there's anything confusing about that, and for a lot of us, this thing about applying theory can just be very confusing. It can be somewhat intimidating. But it just really is as simple as sort of turning some of the statements from a theory into questions. So that's what I'm really looking for you to do is just ask yourself, what is the relevance? How does this theory apply with this case? Okay, and by the time we do that, hopefully we get a clear sense of the practice and intervention we want to take. For the most part, whenever we identify a theoretical, some theory or theoretical principle behind, background, that will typically imply or inform us on the kind of intervention that we need to take. And I just wanted to point out that at the micro level, when we're talking about going from theory to practice, we're usually talking about types of psychotherapeutic interventions. At the meso level, we're usually talking about community action or client advocacy or strategic planning, administration kinds of things. And so they're just kind of improving things locally, not at the client level, but not at the big, broad systems level either. And then at the macro level, this is where we're talking more about policy advocacy, lobbying, social activism, where we are saying it's important we need to change the society or the system or the legislation or the laws as a whole. Okay? And then as we move along, hopefully you'll find that after the heavy lifting of the theory and practice parts of the analysis, just discussing the ethical considerations from the case, use the NASW Code of Ethics, talk about the NASW Code of Ethics, make sure that it's clear in your analysis that you're referencing, citing the Code of Ethics, and discuss those core values, those ethical standards that relate to the case. And then a section again on faith integration. Use at least one Bible verse here. How does your faith help to inform or substantiate ethical decision making? Sometimes we actually find that our faith background can create some tension for ethical decision making, and so we'll be watching out for that. Under the strategies section of your analysis, I want you to identify at least two different strategies. Now these strategies may or may not be in opposition to each other, or mutually exclusive, or equal diametrically opposed opposites. But I do want you to think outside of what you would naturally do. And so basically what I'm looking for when you write about strategies is I'm looking for some sense that you've considered the possibility that your own gut reaction or your own sense of what you should do may not necessarily be the perfect or right answer. And I want you to think about another strategy that could be defensible from a theoretical, interventive, and ethical basis. Okay, so basically that comes down to just, on the one hand we could do this, on the other hand we could do that, and present those two different, possibly both sound strategies, but that would be two different strategies. And then finally just give your recommendation. What is your final recommendation? And again, the challenge to write succinct is nowhere greater than with the recommendation. What I want you to do with the recommendation part of your analysis, I want you to pretend that you are submitting this to your boss, and I want you to pretend that your boss is an extremely busy person who's probably only going to spend about 30 seconds, and he or she will need in 30 seconds to be able to read through your recommendation and know not just what you recommend doing, but why you recommend doing that, and to put that as quickly and as clearly and as concisely as you possibly can. That is going to be the real challenge for the analysis. Okay. So once you've done all of that, I'm thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 7 pages should do the trick. Again, I am not looking for big, lengthy discussions. I don't need you to tell me what cognitive theory is. I just want to see that you are applying these different theories to the case. And so don't spend paragraphs and paragraphs giving me information that I already have or information that's not germane to the case. Let's jump right into application. Let's make this all about the case and all about analysis of the case. Okay? So I imagine there's going to be some questions about this, but this is a good walkthrough on the analysis outline. Again, I would just print this out or save it to your desktop and keep it nearby, and this is your map. You know, if we're lost in the woods, this is our map. This is our way out of the woods here, and so we want to make sure that the decision case analysis outline kind of goes with us everywhere we go. Okay. All right, let's see what else we can look at here. If we go back to our syllabus now, let me just clarify again. When you turn your analysis in every week, you'll see that for each week you're going to have a discussion forum and a Dropbox. Okay, the discussion forum is for you and your classmates to have a conversation about the case and what you thought about it. And for you all to give consultation and critiques to each other. The Dropbox is for me. The Dropbox is simply a place for you to upload your assignment so that I can grade it, and then typically what I will do is grade those and email them back to you. Okay, now I'll just go ahead and tell you now that in the first week or two, I want to kind of hit this really hard. I want to really, so expect a lot of feedback from me. Expect a lot of sort of correcting and sharpening and honing and refining. And then my plan is by week 3, I want you all to start feeling very comfortable with this analysis approach. Okay. So yeah, for each week, basically, again, you're gonna come in when you finish your analysis. Come in here and you're going to copy and paste. Okay, if you look at discussion forum, when we click on that, we're going to copy and paste our analysis here. You add a new discussion topic, like so, and then from your Word document where your analysis is, I want you to just highlight everything, copy that, paste it right here. You're going to need a subject also, so you could say, you know, Brandon's analysis or something like that. So maybe include your name and what this is. And then you'll come down here, you post it to the forum, and once you've posted that to the forum, then come back over here to the main page and then go to the Dropbox, and I want you to upload or attach your Word document here. So don't copy and paste it here. I want you to, at this point, I want you to attach your document so that when I go in and retrieve it, I've got a Word document sitting in front of me that I can grade, and then I'll get that back to you. And then once you've posted your analysis both in the forum and in the Dropbox, I want you to come back to the forum, and I want you to, and let's look at the syllabus here. Your consultation and critiques, you get 5 points a week. So 25% of your grade is basically you providing feedback to at least 5 of your classmates per week. So you basically get a point per classmate that you respond to. This is essentially a pass-fail grade. In fact, if you don't hear from me on this, you'll just assume that you got the credit for doing this. But I will be looking at them closely for detailed, positive, and constructive feedback and consultation. Okay. So that's it for each week. Once you've done your analysis, once you copy and paste it to the discussion forum, and then once you upload it and attach it to the Dropbox for me, and then go in and do your 5 discussions, you're done. Okay? So again, the deadlines every week will be by Thursday at 5 o'clock. You're going to need to have your decision case analysis uploaded and then also copied and pasted to the forum. And then by Saturday nights at midnight, let's have all of our discussions in. Okay, so you will need to have provided your 5 discussions to your classmates. Okay, So in the end analysis, basically each week you get 15 points, a maximum of 15 points per week for the case analysis. You'll see the grading rubric for the decision case analysis is like this: 2 points for the problem statement, 4 points for the theory, 2 points for practice intervention, 2 for ethical consideration, faith integration strategies, a point for your recommendation, and that's a 15 point total. And then basically again the consultation or critique is a do it or don't do it. But if you do it, and you do it with some good detail, positive, constructive feedback, you're going to get all of your points for doing that. I think that's not going to be a problem for anybody. And then in the end, it's 75 points for all of your case analyses over 5 weeks, and then 25 points for your critiques. And then you'll see the grading scale here for A's and A minuses and B pluses, and all of that is on the syllabus. And then the course schedule is here, and you know, basically it's going to look a lot like our Moodle Rooms page, but there may be a little more detail here on the syllabus that you might be interested in looking at. And so I think I've shown you just about all that I can show you at this point. Although let me point out a couple more things. Keep an eye out for some videos that I'm going to be including on our page here, and including this one that I'm making right now. For instance, there is this Introduction to Decision Case Analysis Method. What I'm trying to do is embed most of these videos so that when you click on them, they'll automatically show up like so. And keep a little music with there to kind of, you know, get you ready to work hard. I'll create these videos here and there just to hopefully help to explain kind of what we're doing and to make up for some of what we miss when we don't meet together face to face. And that said, let me just make one last statement about meeting with you all. I would love nothing more than to hear directly from you. If you have questions, phone call, we can Skype, email me certainly. There's if you'll notice from the syllabus here that I include my cell phone number, and feel free to text me. If you do text message me, I'd ask you that you identify yourself in the text message. Sometimes I have a hard time figuring out who's writing to me, but there's my email address as well. I am on the 4th floor of Morrison 401. If you go into the front of the building, ride the elevator up to the 4th floor and hang a left and go into to the front of the building, into the suite of offices that are there. You'll go in and hang a left, and you should see my door with my name on it. And I will do everything I can to be available to you all to answer your questions. Again, I really enjoy this process for learning, and these cases I think are very interesting. I've been using these for a lot of years now. I hope you enjoy them as much as I do, and I'm looking forward to a very productive and unique learning experience this term. Thanks.